Two wheels are better than four. From the mountains to the shore, find us rolling up to the pub. We're 17 Scooters Club. Welcome to 17 Scooters Club podcast. I almost forgot where we were for a moment. Katie said she liked my outfit. Thank you very much. You could see it in the reel that I'm literally posting right now. It's even completed by my hunter boots because these are my gardening boots, and somehow my feet are still wet on the inside, but I've been waiting for Kitty to get home so I could shower. So yeah, it's been a day. To give a little background, like a little homey background, because I don't think we've done this in a while. Yeah, I was in denial that I lived in desert prone area when I moved to California. So when we finally had a yard to ourselves, I'm like, no, I need to have grass. Like, yards have grass, period. That's what a yard is. So everyone was like, you're gonna have to water it every single day. And they're like, you know that our dirt isn't like nutrient rich, it's like sand, so you have to feed it. And I'm like, no, it'll be fine, it'll be good, it'll rain, it's gonna grow, it's grass.
That's what happens at home.
It's what happens. Yeah, it's like, it doesn't happen like that at home, so it's gonna be fine. Anyways, I plant this grass. The dogs, like, it's looking pretty good to begin with. I'm spending all my time watering it morning and night. The dogs find their little patch that they really love, and so the patch that they always lay in starts to die, and then they start to pee on it, and so now I have like little dead patches of pee. And then I start trying to put, like, to fix it and like put little patches out of like a little bit more dirt, a little bit more like fertilizer, and a little bit more seeds, and it just doesn't grow. And then finally I go on vacation. We went on vacation in May, and I came back, like, I didn't leave instructions for my boyfriend to take care of it, and I was kind of done with it, and I came back and it was just 90% dead. And so I just said, yeah, everyone was right, I should not have grown grass in California, because everyone just wanted me to put turf down, and I'm like, no, turf's stupid. And then I started going, yeah, and I remember we started going to some vineyards around here, and I started seeing houses that have gravel, like just really fine gravel outside, and I'm like, it's very practical to have, and it also is aesthetically pleasing, like having the gravel outside with some like pretty outdoor furniture, a fire pit, and like some little, like, the grasses coming up. So I planted the little grasses today, and I got some pots with a little dwarf olive tree, and I got a snowball tree. I forget its real name. It starts with a P and has a lot of letters. So yeah, I'm finally, after some time, turning this into a drought friendly area. And for a while I know we're talking a lot about this. For a while I didn't want to like spend money on it, because I was like, well, this is not my property, I'm not living here forever. But then I'm like, okay, I live in a tiny house, and so the outdoors is my like space. So I needed to like upgrade it a little bit. Cost me a little bit of money, but I went to all the stores, so I made sure I got a bargain. So yeah, I will keep you updated on that. The toilet came out of my studio, so that is the next project. Yes. And yeah, so that's why I'm wearing my outdoor, this is my like my workout clothes. But let me tell you, we're getting gravel put down, obviously, and so I pulled a lot of weeds before that happened, because I wanted to level it out. And I pulled weeds for like, I think my watch said it was like 400 to 500 calories. I pulled weeds for like 3 hours. I'm like, no way. Like, I'm not, like, my heart rate's not that bad. The next day I woke up with the most sore hamstrings I've ever gotten. Like, after running, like, I haven't run a half marathon, but I've run like 10Ks before. I run all the time, never sore from running. And like, I'll go and lift, and like the only time I've been this sore is when I cold turkey go straight back into like a heavy lifting workout routine after like just doing cardio forever. And I'm like, I'm still sore today, and I feel like pulling weeds, because I was just like squatting for 3 hours and just hovering. And when I came inside, I'm like, my legs are shaking. What's wrong with me? Like, am I dehydrated? Am I ill? And I'm like, no, I just had like a really killer workout. So yes.
That's funny.
What's new with you, Katie?
You froze for a sec. Well,
Oh, I said, what's new with you, Katie?
Oh.
Right back at you.
Well, I'm in my volleyball outfit, but yeah, I had 2 volleyball games tonight, and then I was rushing home. The latest one started, like, the game started at 6, 7, 8, or 9:15. So this one started at 9:15. So then it goes until like 10:30, and then by the time you get out, report all the scores, drive home. That's why I was a little bit late, and then I was so hangry because we were drinking twisted teas during our volleyball game.
Ooh, that'll do it.
It was good, but I was like, I need to make a sandwich. So that was the sandwich I was making.
Why are twisted teas like the perfect, like, you're doing sports type of drink? Like, whenever I'm hiking, like, we do this hike called Point Sal, and it's like a 10-mile hike, and then like once we get to the beach, it's 5 miles in, twisted teas are always a thing that we pull out. It's perfect.
It's so good. It's like light, but also doesn't hurt your stomach. So anyway, someone brought a pack of twisted teas, so I was like,
ooh.
But it was fun. And then that kind of leads me into my topic. I've been trying, too long didn't read, TLDR. I've been trying to use witchcraft to get a new job. And so
she has been. That feels like, okay, so I'm going to show you what I've gotten, and I think I should just start.
Yes, mine is shorter because it's about my current endeavors.
So my problem is I can't sit down and type because it takes me forever, and like I've been doing 12 things. So I listened to like 3 or 4 different podcasts and watched a movie on my topic. And so I just voiced to text all this, and I haven't read it through yet. So hopefully you should have been there the first go round. But this is the second go round, and we're just going to jump in and get to it.
Okay, go for it.
There is already a grammatical error in the first sentence. Okay. Nearly 30 years ago, in 1996, 3 young girls were walking home in the middle of the afternoon when a storm rolled in to a town of Varginha, Brazil. They decided to take a quicker route home by cutting through a lot, which they didn't typically do. What they didn't know is that this decision would change the trajectory of their lives forever, because this path that they took put them face to face with an unidentified creature that some believe came from a nearby UFO crash. At the same time that day, reports were coming in to the fire department of an unidentified object crashing. There were as many as 8 military vehicles reported around town setting up blockades and partaking in undisclosed activities that are still to this day questioned. Some call it the Roswell of Brazil, called the Varginha encounters. Have you heard of this?
I have, and I think I don't know any details, but I think my confusion was I was thinking Virginia, America.
It's
Brazil.
Spelled Varginha, and I will.
Virginia.
There will be reason for you to believe it is in America.
I've heard of this, and I remember the confusion, but I don't know the details, so I'm excited.
So in 1996, Virginia was a bustling city of about 100,000 people. And what do we think of when you think of Brazil and its top producer?
Soccer.
Coffee. Soccer too. I remember murders on the soccer field.
Yeah.
Murders on the dance floor. Murders on the soccer field. And coffee. The city is surrounded by unending farms of coffee producers. Well, historically, the city has been known for its production. But since 1996, it changed its trajectory as well. It became known for its paranormal encounters. Their water tower is also a flying saucer, which I thought was funny. Wow, this is so jumbled. I'm so sorry, guys. I sound illiterate. Dozens of people came out with paranormal UFO encounter stories, and there is a massive influx of government vehicles everywhere. Some even claim to have had contact with the being out of this world. It started in January 1996. NORAD, North American... crap. I forgot to look up what this meant. It's like a radio. It's something with those things that spin in circles. Radar. Issued a warning to Brazil officials that they spotted a UFO activity over Minas Gerais. It is believed on January 13th, the U.S. shot down a UFO outside of Virginia into a pasture about 6 miles outside of town. However, that very morning around 4:30 a.m., Carlos de Souza was a pilot. He was driving into town to go flying with some buddies when he saw something strange in the sky while driving down the freeway. He saw a cigar-shaped craft with like on its side. It's completely torn up and losing altitude, about to crash. He saw a vapor or a mist coming from it and knew it was about to go down. He got very close to the road where Carlos was until it stopped, changed direction and started climbing to an altitude again, getting to about 100 to 150 meters off the ground before its engine seemed to go out completely and drops to the ground. It disappeared behind a hill and caught on smoke. So Carlos changed his direction to go check it out, thinking as a pilot, whoever was there needed help. He drove over some cow carts, down a windy dirt road, past little farmhouse until he approached the scene. He described it as the size of a small school bus with parts ricocheted everywhere. This UFO was in pieces, leaving metallic debris spread across the field. He described it as a horrendous smell. He said it smelled like ammonia and raw eggs, and it was so bad. It was hard to focus on anything else. His eyes started watering. It was so bad. When men started approaching, there was about a 40-foot ring around the crash site that looked like a chemical burn. He approached a piece of debris cautiously, as he's never seen anything like it before. Especially as a pilot, he was super intrigued by what this vehicle was made of. Noticing how light it was when he picked it up, almost like aluminum foil, he crumpled it in his hand. That's when he started to feel as though something was off, very off, because when he opened his hand back up, the object reformed into its previous state, like it was never even crumpled at all. Have you heard of anything like that?
I have.
Roswell.
I've heard it.
Mm-hmm. He was there for a few minutes alone when he saw an army of trucks and cars coming his way with military personnel, most likely from the nearby army base. At first, he thought they were coming to help. That was until they pulled out weapons and told him to leave the scene. They told him to get back in his truck and get out of there. Carlos was shaken up and confused, and he wanted the only thing he could reply with was no, but, before being cut off by these personnel holding their rifles up, immediately yelling at him to go away once again. And when he didn't immediately move, they shot at the ground around him, screaming, "Go away, I told you to leave." He held up his hands, got back in his truck, and drove away, as he was told. Carlos gave one interview following this incident, but never again, since he went underground for 26 years and didn't interview until there's a new documentary coming out about it. He didn't interview with James Fox for that, and this is recently, but he went underground completely until this interview. Which, when I first heard that, I'm like, did they kill him? But they didn't. They didn't. He's still here, I guess. While this was going on, a couple working on a nearby farm had a similar experience as Carlos that morning. Arena de Freitas was inside when she heard her cattle going crazy. She said they were running around her house and sounded agitated, so she walked out to check on them when she saw an object in the sky about 5 meters from the ground. It wasn't making any noise, and it was about the size of a small school bus, she says, completely silent with a small bit of smoke around it. She called for her husband as they both watched it gain elevation and head towards Virginia. Now, they didn't share this experience for years, and Carlos is believed to have the date wrong because most encounters weren't reported until January 20th, 1996. And it all starts with 3 girls walking home from school about 3:30 p.m. The trio included 16-year-old Liliana Silva, 14-year-old Volcaria Silver, and their friend 21-year-old Katja Sabar. They decided to take a route that they usually don't take home that day to the Silva's house through a vacant lot between 2 buildings because a storm had been blowing in and there had been strong winds. They wanted to make it home before it started to rain. They're about halfway through. Layla stopped due to some graffiti on the wall that she found intriguing and wanted to check out. She stepped towards the wall and something else caught her eye. Crouched down against the wall was a small creature that looked similar to us, but had brown skin and looked very oily and wet all over. It was sitting with its long rubbery arms wrapped around its legs, and as she looked at it, it looked back at her and they made eye contact. That's when she noticed its bright red eyes. Layla screamed in fear, and that's when the 2 other girls looked over to see the same sight. They made eye contact with the creature, and they were frozen for a second. She said that after everyone laid eyes on the creature, they sprinted back home, and it wasn't until they were back when they all shared what they saw. The exact same thing. A creature that's a little over 4 feet tall, but hunched over, It had 3 horns on the top of its head. They all smelt something very strong of ammonia and sulfur in the air, and they all agreed it looked really, really scared to them. And Volker said later on that when she looked in its eyes, there was a transfer of fear between the two. They didn't have a mouth and they didn't speak to them. They knew it was confused and afraid. Its eyes were 3 times bigger than the size of human eyes, and some say they were in a teardrop shape. Being raised Catholic, they had no idea what they were seeing, and they thought they were seeing a demon at first. As they approached their home, Luisa Silva, the mother of the 2 daughters, was already outside awaiting the girls as she had a feeling in her gut of unease, a mother's sixth sense, knowing that something was wrong. When the girls approached, she knew that something was wrong because they looked frightened. Once they explained everything, she had them get into the truck and they all drove back to the spot together reluctantly. Though nothing was there, that strong smell of ammonia and sulfur still remained. Louisa described it stronger than sulfur, and she had never smelled anything like it and never anything since. It stuck in her nose for weeks until it just slowly went away. Well, she was surveying the prints she assumed belonged to the being. At this point, the smell was too far overwhelming that she loaded the girls back up and they headed home, not sure what to do next. That same day, people in town had started noticing a massive presence of military. While the military normally had a presence in town as they ran the fire department and the police department, it was never as prominent as this day. There were soldiers setting up blockades, and one witness says that he and his friends were walking down a street when they encountered a blockade of 5 or 6 military personnel holding rifles bigger than he had ever seen before. He walked up to the blockade when they told him he could not pass. He claimed that he had a constitutional right to pass because this was his city. This is where he lived. They didn't say a word, but they shook their heads. And when the young man proceeded to attempt to walk through the blockade, he was met with every single one of their rifles pointed straight towards his head. At the same residents of a nearby neighborhood called the fire department to report seeing a strange creature running through the streets. When the fire department arrived, they sent the crowd home and entered the woods with a net. They claimed to have captured the creature, and when witness asked what it was, the department said they weren't sure, but it cried out like a child. There's a construction worker in the area that also claimed to have seen them put it in a wooden box and take it away.
That doesn't surprise me.
I know.
Of course, the military is trying to cover up.
Mm-hmm. Many people in town reported that soldiers seemed to be looking for something, but nobody quite knew what. The afternoon, a local military police officer was called in for that search as well. Marco Eli Shirazi was a 23-year-old officer for the intelligence section of the military. Also, if I'm butchering these names, I'm sorry. There's a lot of
sounds good on my side.
Yeah, that's like when I pronounce chilaquiles at work. I'm just like, chilaquiles. Mm-hmm. That evening, about 3 hours after the girls spotted the creature, Eric Lopes were called into the area for the search. So Marco and Eric were searching together. They were driving around when they spotted something out in front of their car in the middle of the road. They stopped the car and Marco jumped out to capture the creature. He allegedly grabbed it with his bare hands, restraining it and carrying it back to the police car. Some reports say he was scratched by the being in the process. The duo took the being to the hospital, describing the same strong scent along the way. He described the greasy film being all over his hands and arms after grabbing this creature. A couple of weeks after grabbing the creature on February 10th, he was admitted to a local hospital due to excruciating pain and an unsettling fever. They ran tests and tests after tests and they got nothing. Nobody knew what was wrong with him. The test ended up concluding, quote, finding a granular toxin and showed 8% fine-grain neurotrophilus, end quote. Something was attacking his body and he was completely incapable of fighting it. Typically, this finding tends to be some sort of autoimmune issue or a very strong infection, meaning that his body was fighting off something, but they could not tell what. They tested out new medicines and ran more tests, but ultimately they ended up being unsuccessful as this was something that doctors have never seen before. It wasn't until he was admitted to the ICU and realized he might not make it out alive, and that's when he told his family he needs to share something very important with him. He was there and he was involved with the ET everyone was talking about in town. It's real. That's why he's sick. When his sister asks if it's really real, he says, listen, the story is going to be a big deal. He passed away in the ICU on February 15th, 1996, and the family never received a reason for his death. The family claims that the on-call doctor wanted to bury him fast. They said it was because he had a disease that nobody knew the cure or cause of. The family thinks it's more directed towards the fact that he's evidence for this paranormal encounter. Marco's wife was adamant about getting medical records after his passing, and it took a very, very, very long time to do so. They even asked for money in exchange for them at first, and they eventually did not give it to her. It was missing many pages when she finally got it. Although she had the paperwork, nobody was ever able to explain to her why her healthy, young husband had an immune system incapable of fighting off this infection. Many today believe he was killed by an unknown alien pathogen that he contracted out on location on January 20th. There were some reports that he had a minor surgery to remove a cyst under his arm, and the infection developed then. This was supposedly on February 7th. This is unconfirmed and very well could be a cover-up. Military personnel later claimed that Marco was not working on any jobs on January 20th, though his entire family claims that he was out working that day. James Fox, the interviewer in the new thing coming up, also talks to two neuropathologists that worked on Marco's medical case, and they told him that a bacteria that was found in his system was incredibly strange. The way it reacted and responded was unlike anything they had ever seen in their decades-long careers, ever since. It looked like a bacteria that had evolved to do things that were atypical of this type of bacteria. It also reported by his sister that a military person told his mother that he was involved that day, but it could never be released because the population would collapse, in quotes. The family had requested for years to have Marco's body exhumed, but has always been rejected. It's a lot of talking on his sip.
So what happened? Sorry if I missed this. Where's now, I guess, or at the conclusion of this, where is the being's body?
We'll get there.
Okay, because I'm wondering.
There's two beings.
Oh no. Mm-hmm. Yes, because one was in the box, and now this guy was trying to chase down.
One was presumed dead upon crash, and the other one was the one running around. So I'll get there. Okay. Many claims started to circulate around town of small stories revolving around this case. A reporter, Nadia, heard of 3 girls' story and headed over there to cover it when he reached a blockade of military personnel. He was told he could not go any further because there was a matter of national security. That solidified his belief that there was a cover-up going on. He sent a couple of his reporters to speak to a military personnel, but none of them responded. One reporter asked if he could just ask one more question. The military personnel went inside and came back out and replied, "If you ask one more question, you will be arrested." Accounts came out throughout the years about what might have happened to the beings that were captured. Doctors and nurses came out saying that the creatures were brought to 2 hospitals in town. One radiologist that requested to keep anonymous claims that there was a major police presence on the night of the 20th in the hospital. They brought in a wooden box and a zipped up black body bag. He was instructed to take x-rays of a skull, a spine, pelvis, and limbs. He found it incredibly strange that there were the way that they acted just made him feel more nervous, so that there were 2 military personnel with him and the body at all times. These 2 men stood by him as he operated the machine, but never spoke one word to him the entire time. When the tests were complete, they took the images, before the doctor could even look at them. They thank him for his work and told him not to speak of the involvement. He too claims to experience overwhelming scent of ammonia and sulfur. They closed down a section of the hospital because it was too bad, he claims. The smell and everything. A neurosurgeon that worked at the hospital on the night of January 20th, 1996, claimed to have done over 5,000 surgeries, and when they walked into his room, he knew that this was not human. This was an alien. He claimed that even though it was in captivity, he looked at it and it had control over the room. It was somehow at peace. He said that it could communicate telepathically with the creature when he looked into his eyes. The doctor did not come forward for almost 30 years after the fact because he knew what it would do to his career. But in 2018, he had a heart attack and almost died. During that, he realized that he needed to tell somebody about his experience so it didn't die with him. That's when he shared it. He says that he noticed an increased presence of military that day, like everyone else. He walked outside and saw that they were loading up a metal box. Him and other bystanders were being told to get out of there. That was not a squadron. That was the squadron that went to go pick up the being and bring it back to the hospital. Not one personnel in the squadron was ever seen again. They were said to have been sent away. Later, they got a man who went by Military X to speak with them on the encounter. Military X was in that squadron. The night of that mission, they were told that they need to prepare for a mission, but they weren't told what that mission was. They got several trucks ready. They followed unmarked cars out of the base into another location. They followed closely behind these unmarked vehicles for a decent amount of time until they stopped. They've reached Virginia. They were told to follow military personnel to the back of the hospital into the room of doctors taking notes. They all looked uneasy and afraid. The room was silent. In the middle of the room was a stainless steel table with a box on top of it, and inside of the box, Military X describes the creature with oily, silicone-looking skin. Its feet were split into a V shape, and by this point he knew that whatever he was looking at was not human. He turned away, too scared to look at it again. The sergeant waved him out of the door, but as he went back to his truck to await the next order, he noticed another military personnel standing next to the body. This man had a camera slung over his shoulder. And though he wasn't using it at the moment, the Military X is convinced that he had been and has pictures of this being, meaning that there are photos out there. 2 days later, on January 22nd, military personnel drove this being in the box from the hospital to a base in Tres Caraces. It stayed there overnight before stopping at a military training school and then eventually being handed over to the U.S. government. Allegedly. Now, the story on its own of it being handed over to the U.S. government is questionable. Like, why would they give it to the U.S.? However, the story of an air traffic controller in San Paulo, Damon Fernandez, was working on the night of the U.S. military plane landed in the area. After it landed, 2 military helicopters took off towards Virginia to retrieve something, an unknown object, before returning back and flying back to the United States. He claims that him and his unit were instructed to remain silent about the whole encounter. This is so contained that they claimed that the Brazilian government weren't even aware of this going on, about this mission, and it was solely the United States government. Nobody knows what happened after the beings and craft were taken by the Americans. To this day, the 3 girls who had originally reported this almost 30 years ago, their story has never changed, and Carlos has never brought back his story. There are many other testimonies of individuals encountering a light in the sky, moving in a grid motion, almost looking like a search party. So, like after the dates, like for a month after, another craft was seen looking for that old craft. And yeah, basically that is the firsthand accounts of Virginia.
I kind of feel bad for at least the first one that you were saying, the one with horns and red eyes, that they were saying that when they saw it, it looked scared, like it couldn't talk.
That's what a lot of them were saying. It's like they were scared. They were kind of like very human-like, and like maybe it just crashed. It got a little too close. The government shot it down,
scared.
And it was scared. It was just like a little scared guy. It wasn't trying to like hurt anybody.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Interesting. It doesn't surprise me also when you said, oh, why would the US government come take it? That's no surprise to me that the US government was like, oh, UFO activity, we'll come take that.
Well, it's alleged that the Brazilian government didn't even know about it. And this was all just like the US airspace heard about it. They flew in, they took care of it, took it off the military. I mean, obviously they had to have known about it because it was on a military base, which is kind of a silly claim for somebody to make. They didn't know about it, but
or maybe it was like top secret, like only a few people knew. Like, oh,
yeah,
not gonna see here.
Yeah, I think for the most part, it was like taken by the U.S. government.
Yeah, none of that surprises me, and it's just crazy that we live in a world. Well, I guess it's widely known now, but it's crazy that we live in a world where, like, people fantasize about aliens and like extraterrestrial beings, and we're like, oh, how weird would it be if they're like real, or like what would they look like, or like. And there's so many stories like this where people like have firsthand accounts. Meanwhile, the freaking government has an entire collection of them, which is crazy.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, this is 1996. This is full denying, like, era.
Yes.
So now that the government has come out and said, yes, aliens are real, we have UFOs, we have aliens, like, we've studied it all, then this is just like another story. Like, this is just something else that has happened.
Did they? So I know that they had those trials where people came out and like testified, but did actual hard evidence of like the different aliens with the different times and the different like were those papers released or no? I know that there was like a court hearing
Mm.
that was where people were testifying about all the things that they saw, but like
Like,
do we
in
ever find
general,
out?
or this case?
Like in general, can we go
I don't
look up
know.
like can we go look up paperwork for that and see what was this case documented? Like if we look up this case, will that be publicly released? Like, oh yeah, that was
Oh,
something
like
that they
the government encounters that they're releasing.
yeah.
I wonder if it's different because it happened in a different country. Like, I wonder if it's like not the US to, what's it called, release or whatever. Um
Maybe or yeah,
I'm
that's
having
they
a
probably would
really,
use that. Like,
oh,
oh
but Moment of Contact is the documentary. It came out. Ooh, I don't like this. I didn't need to
yeah,
see that Alone in the Dark. I'm gonna
yeah,
scroll.
it was scroll. Okay, you're good.
We're just gonna okay, it's still there. Um it just scrolled to a different one.
Great.
Yeah. Okay, let's see.
Interesting. And it's interesting that I've never heard an, I'm going to say quote unquote alien, an alien described like that with the horns and the red eyes and the slimy skin. Like I've heard
Brown.
small,
Yeah.
just
Like,
very
we've heard
different.
like gray and green, but not like brown with like three, it sounded like there were like three horns like
Like a
this.
mohawk.
I'm like, that's kind of cute. It sounds kind of cute. And the fact, like, it makes me think it might have been like a kid, like a young alien, especially like
Yeah.
because they seem to have sent a search party.
I know. And it
But
was
yeah,
small.
it was small.
Interesting. I wonder, has there been any follow ups on that? You watched a current documentary?
Yeah, I haven't seen
Hmm.
they're releasing actually coincidentally next month. That's how I came into it. They're releasing some with firsthand, like, now that the world has admitted that UFOs are real, aliens are real. They're refilming this documentary and with firsthand.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I'll link that below and I'll share it on our socials. I will be watching it in the daytime. But I will watch it. I'll watch it. Why not?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I love the idea of aliens and it's just crazy like I said.
See,
They're definitely out there. They're being hidden.
yeah.
I
I
wonder
don't
if
know.
you look up what percent. I'm going to look up something real quick. What percent of humans have had an alien encounter?
Want to know something creepy? I thought you were gonna Google what percentage of humans are aliens.
I mean,
I mean, that's like what I want to know.
so 36% of Americans have said that they believe they've seen something like in the sky for a UFO sighting. 5 to 6% of the general population think they've been abducted at one point. That's a way higher number than I thought.
How many? 5 to 6 think they've been abducted.
Percent of the world. That's
So a
kind of a
hundred.
lot.
So five. That's like 1 in 20. One in like one person in
That's,
every classroom thinks they've been abducted.
what is
Okay, but how
6%?
much of this is psychosis? And how
Yeah,
much of this
true.
is like how much of this is an old lady seeing Starlink flying up there being like, "Oh my god, there's the UFOs again. They come around all the time.
No,
They're in this
they got
formation."
abducted.
What was
So, as
that?
of November 2025, 6% of the human population is 493.9 million people. So,
They
apparently,
abducted a
almost
lot.
half a million people, no, half a billion people have been abducted.
If I had a dollar.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's wild.
Oh my goodness.
Interesting.
The aliens.
Well, putting it out there, if you're interested, just take it someone else. I don't need that. I get excited for my plants and my gravel. I don't want to get abducted. Ignorance is bliss for me.
She needs to stay on Earth. 4 on the floor.
Yeah, I'm very earthbound.
Oh, you paused for a sec. Oh
We're
no.
frozen. We're
Um,
still frozen. What's going on? Katie, there you are. I
there
lost
we
you
go.
for a solid five
Yeah, I said
seconds.
you don't want to go. You don't want to be abducted. You need to stay 4 on the floor. You want to stay on Earth.
4 on the floor. Like, maybe like everything on the floor. Like, just, you could glue me to the ground before you
Polar bear
take
on the
me.
floor.
Yeah, no. I will die of a heart attack for sure before I even get up there. hmm
Well, all right. Let's switch gears into something maybe not as scary. Um,
Yes, that's why I wanted to end on yours.
Okay, perfect. Mine is actually very, so I've been being a lot more intentional with my thoughts and then like with my energy. And a few episodes ago, we talked about how like your body is the character, like in a video game, and your mind is like a bigger kind of being out there. Remember? So,
Yes.
my topic today is witchcraft. And before everyone gets all up in arms, it's not negative witchcraft. We're not hexing people. It's just
Speak for yourself.
speak for yourself.
Just
Actually,
kidding. I would
my
love to
top,
hex somebody, but
well, we can.
I
My
won't.
topic the previous week, like of talking about that, like quantum leaping and like thinking more about energy, like your mind is an energy and it's not just confined to your body. That is actually what led me into this. So I'm still exploring it. However, do you have, well, let me give you an example of something that I didn't realize is technically a form of witchcraft that I've always done, energy wise, but I never really realized. So growing up when I was little, and I'm wondering if you have any similar experiences, I would always like use my energy and try to connect to other people in the sense like I specifically remember I was having a tough time in math and I was like, I hate math. And then I'd come home and I was like doing so good at my homework. And I'd like think of specifically second grade Miss Keen and be like, if only Miss Keen was here. And if she was here, I would picture her wearing this, wearing that. And it would be at Patty's house because Patty helped me with math.
Are you saying specifically like Miss Keen would be here and she'd be wearing that, or you're picturing Miss Keen in a specific outfit? Like, are you saying if Miss
I
Keen
was
was here, she would be wearing a
No, I
Patagonia
was
vest?
picturing her. I was like, is
And
Miss Keen,
okay.
like, pretend whatever Miss Keen is doing in the back of her mind, she can
hmm
see me right now. She could see that I'm sitting down. She could see that I'm being successful at math. And she's going to be so proud of me. And I've always done that. Like if I don't know, even like friends, like I'm doing something really cool, like Keely, for example, like I'd be out there doing something so cool and I'd be like, wow, like I'm picturing Keely wherever she is right now. Let's say she's, I don't know, at volleyball practice, but I'm out here doing something really cool that she would really like. I'm picturing that Keely in the back of her mind can see what I can see, can hear what I can hear, and she's like experiencing this.
hmm
So I've always done that. Like always. I don't know.
I would say my version of that is like taking a really hot bikini picture and knowing that my ex still follows me on
Yes.
Instagram and posting that solely. Like, I don't care about the other 40,000. Like, this is for one person to see.
Mhm.
That's the only
Yeah,
reason why.
I think it's the same idea where like
The same
you're
idea.
thinking you're thinking about someone else's thinking about you.
hmm
So that like just that act and just that like that energy that you're putting towards it allegedly is a form of witchcraft. So I wanted to talk about how other ways that you can use that and ways that I've been trying to manifest slash use this towards another job. So the more simple one, and I've mentioned both of these to you, but the more simple one is a money bowl. So I have my money bowl here, and unfortunately, my money bowl has not worked.
Has
Well,
run
it did
out.
work for me twice. I got into a free half marathon this weekend. That would have been money, and then my paycheck was higher. Both my paychecks this week were higher than I had expected, and I didn't do anything different, like
And you're a
unexpectedly.
budgeter. Yeah, you know. I
Oh, I
just
know.
money arrives and I'm just like, cool.
You're
But
like, great.
you know what should be there.
So I would consider it a win. So I'm going to
Yeah.
first talk about the money bowl. So the money bowl is very similar with those intentions. Like when you're thinking about like you in your bikini picture, like, oh, so and so is going to see this. It's kind of the same with the money bowl. So you have to first stage it. It's green for money. I have green going up here for money. And there's some different things in here. So basically, witchcraft is not like, in my mind, it was always like you have to follow the book. You have to follow every single like ingredient, like things that you saw on like the, what is it, Hocus Pocus. Like you have to follow
Yeah.
every single steps. No, it's more about your energy and like thinking about other people's energy and setting your intention and then using physical things that you have to enhance that. So in my money bowl, it's green. Okay. It's a bowl. It's green, green for money. I have rice in here because rice represents abundance. And so when you put it in, it's just, you say it out loud, like rice is, representing abundance. And so then you're saying it, right? That's the intention. You're thinking about it. And then you can really add anything. So I added cinnamon because cinnamon is also money. I added some crystals that have been charged in the moon. So they apparently amplify. I
I actually
added
remember to do
coins.
that. The only crystal
Yeah.
I have, like, I'm very interested in crystals. I want to get some. The only crystal I have, my old roommate, not the crazy one,
Okay.
the one before the crazy one. She was cool. She left me a crystal when she moved out.
Oh, do you
I
have
don't know
it?
if she, yeah, I have it.
You have to
I keep
charge
it
it
with
in the
me.
full moon, and
I
then
need to
crystals
charge
will
it.
amplify things.
Okay.
So crystal doesn't really mean money, but it's charged and it's
It'll mean
energy.
it's like a little energy pack.
It is. Fun fact, one of these crystals in here, I don't know, I have a bunch, but I think it's actually the smaller one. I think this crystal was the one that mom and dad found in the wall.
That's exactly what
Um,
mine looks like.
yeah, it's just a little guy. So
Okay.
I have a lot of crystals. Some of them I found, and then basically it's all about your intentions. So what I did do was I took a candlestick, and I have like old candlesticks laying around, and you can carve what you want in the candlestick. So this is a money bowl, but you could do it for anything. And so I carved exactly what I wanted. I like was very specific about money wise, abundance, prosperity. I put specific numbers, and then I burnt it in the money bowl. And basically you're thinking about like, think back to like when I was like, oh, I wish Miss Keen was here. So I was thinking about a specific job or a specific number, and I was like, okay, like this week I'm gonna have abundance. So that is one way. And then I wanted to go into the history of it basically because I think it's really interesting. So the origin of the money bowl is actually European, like a European folk magic technically. So the common folk. So I thought that was really cool. Basically, it started, and then they kept going. It started when households kept like a bowl of grain or a bowl of coins. I have coins in mine too, as a symbol of luck and prosperity. So every time they saw it, they were thinking. So like so far, our witch magic is all about thinking and your intentions and like
Hmm.
changing your energy. Um, in Appalachian folklore, prosperity bowls drew in influence from like it was like an Irish type thing, and they would again use it in your household. They would use it for protection and financial stability. So far, it's like something that you see every day. That's why it's a candle. You're burning it, and you can add all these things into it. They also recognize it in hoodoo practices, which I think are really cool. They would arrange different objects like I did, and they would to draw things towards you. So that's more of like what I did. So I put my crystals, I put my rice, I put my cinnamon, and those are all to draw wealth in. And basically everything in the bowl would represent abundance. So apparently a lot of ancient cultures used offerings in place of the bowl, which I was not cool with. But basically, the grain or the
Mm.
rice or the beans symbolize home. Like the home never runs empty. Coins represent circulating wealth. Herbs like cinnamon, basil, they're linked to trade, value, healing. So it's really all about what you create. So if I didn't have basil, I didn't use basil. So I think it's really cool. I think so far that has worked for me so far. It did not get me my specific what I specifically asked for, but it has been bringing me money. I just think it's interesting, and I'm curious if anyone else has tried an abundance bowl. You don't need to burn a candle. You can just put abundance related things, and it has to be in a high traffic area, something that you see every day.
Hmm.
But that leads
That
me
would
to
be that would be easy in my house because mine's tiny. I'm gonna walk past it all. I'm just to add real quick. I feel like I always come back to it, and it's like it's easier said than done for sure. I do feel like most of this stuff, like I believe in witchcraft, but I also believe that you could, like, it's mind over matter, it's fake it to make it. All of these things are like harnessing your
Yes.
brain, like harnessing your control over the situation and just believing in something and having a vision. Like it's so, you could have, it sounds so cheesy, it sounds so corny, you could have anything you want as long as you figure out what you want. And then you figure out the end goal, and then naturally you start building these steps to get there. Whether it's like, okay, I know one day I'm going to be a superstar, so I gotta start releasing music because that's what a superstar does, and I can't be a
Mhm.
superstar if I'm not releasing music. So this music's gonna blow up. Then I'm gonna be a superstar, and to do that, I need a band so I could go on tour so people can start hearing me. And then all of a sudden, you
Things
become.
are falling.
They're not following the place. Like you're kind of tricking your brain into being like, this is the person I'm going to be. This is the person I am, and I'm meant to be.
Mhm.
So naturally, I need to start doing these things to get there. And you kind of like trick your brain into like shifting into power. But
Yeah,
crystals help. Crystals
yeah, and
definitely
that's
help.
essentially what it is. So like again, and this was surprising to me, and if there's any witches listening, it's not so much about, like I said, like, oh my God, you need the exact ingredients, you need to follow every little thing in the spell book, you need all of this stuff. It's more about, like you said, thinking, shifting your energy, shifting, how you're using your energy. Someone said to wear like a ring, and you would set your intention with the ring, like I'm going to siphon people, not in a bad way, but not siphon, but like collect people's energy. So like if you work at a bar, so you work at a very energy, there's a lot going on, whether it's positive, negative, and people do this with like crystals or like jars, but you can like basically say, I want to fill up this ring with energy, and then you're going to wear the ring all the time. And then when you need it in a certain situation, people say you can draw energy from it. So really witchcraft, and this is interesting because it makes me think back to like Salem, all these
Mm-hmm.
people who were accused of witchcraft, were they just really intuitive and really like into their intuitions and thinking like they I don't know, they wanted something, they're changing their mindset, they're using their energy, like all
Yeah.
human things. So I don't know, like here I was thinking like in Sabrina the Teenage Witch, like, or in Hocus Pocus, you're born to be a witch, but apparently anyone can if you just harness the power.
Yes, but I also feel like you have to have a certain type of, like, you kind of are born, like you kind of have to be born with that certain type of mindset. So like it's
True.
hard to learn mindsets. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So maybe
Yeah.
maybe our family was just born as witches,
Well,
and
maybe because
that's why it becomes just so naturally to us and like
naturally.
a normal understand. I mean, look at our parents, we're definitely witches.
Well, think about me in second grade. If Miss Keene was here, if she could see what I could see and hear what I was harnessing her
Mhm.
energy.
There's also a lot of times where I don't think it's coincidences. Like I'll be thinking of somebody I haven't talked to in years, and then they
Mhm.
text me, and I'm like, "Oh, that's weird. Like I haven't thought about you in years, but I was just
Mhm.
thinking about you, and you just
Yes.
texted me." And I don't believe in. I think that's the most witchy thing about me is I don't think anything's a coincidence. I think that
Mhm.
everything has some like witchy reason to it.
For sure. And I
Mm-hmm.
think again, that goes back to the whole, like, if you're thinking about someone and you're putting energy towards them, whether it's whoever you were thinking about, whether it was my second grade math teacher, like you're putting energy out and they're receiving that energy, then they're going to come to you.
Yeah.
Um, and then the second one I wanted to talk about, because you and I had quickly touched on this, and I've done one, but I have nothing to report back yet, is the
Okay.
freezer spell.
Oh yes.
So, a freezer spell, for those of you who don't know, is basically like a binding or cooling, what they say, tradition. It is naturally from African American hoodoo, where basically you use water or anything cold to calm down harmful influences. So, what that looks like is you would take like a lime, and I wrote down all the things that were in my way that were blocking me, and this is not a negative thing, you just want to freeze them. So I wrote it down, I sliced open the lime, put it in the lime, put some salt, and then put vinegar is very important, and then I froze it. So the idea is that those ideas, or those things that I wrote down, will be frozen, And I'm going to tell you where the origin of this, or one story of this came from. They're frozen until I take it out and it melts, which is going to happen eventually, right? I'm not going to keep that jar in my freezer forever. So even when I throw it out, it's going to melt. And the intention is like it melts when you've received what you wanted. So for example, if I was saying like remove all the blockages of
Mm.
me getting a really high paying new job, when I got the job, then I would throw that one out because when it melts, it releases the spell, or it like
Hmm.
dissolves the spell. So go ahead.
You see, I just feel like this is another way to just harness
Hmm.
your your focus. Be like, you know what goals are yours, which is something I need to do recently. I'm all over the place. I want gravel. I want music career. I want to be TikTok famous. Like, what's more important? I want to be a stay at home dog mom. Like, all those things. But like, I think this is just a way for you to really harness what
Hmm.
is important to you and what is like your first goal that you want to check off.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to what we just talked about again, like what is it that you want and what energy are you harnessing? So
Mhm.
basically in earlier European practices, they would use ice, they would like bury things in the snow to symbolically halt something and cool it down.
Yeah, like Walt
And
Disney.
yeah, yes. In Mediterranean traditions, they would use water jars kept in the dark because it would be cool. That's actually what I put. I put is like water and vinegar in the freezer. And then a modern way, people use at-home freezers. They became common in the 20th century. So many people practicing would use the freezer. So basically, the symbolism behind it is that water has been long seen as a purifier and a container. It contains something, in European and African traditions, making it a natural base. The act of freezing something connects to the ancient belief that you can slow something down by freezing it, like specifically a problem, and it would mirror how the winter halts growth, which is interesting.
Mm.
Um, if you seal the container, that echoes the historical practice of like not magic, which I'm not familiar with. Not familiar with not
I was
magic.
thinking not deer immediately.
No, like tying a knot, not
Oh,
magic,
okay,
and
okay.
binding rituals meant to secure boundaries and lock away negativity.
Bringing the Boy Scouts.
Right? And then
Yeah.
if you leave the item frozen until the situation improves, it's an age old belief or like a symbolism that then it can melt and then it can be okay. So, an example of this is one that I found. It's a cute little example, but I think it's really interesting.
Mhm.
So, it's called the Quarrel of Two Bakers. And it was in the 1900s. And this is such a 1900s thing. It's so short.
I
But
think this is my
basically,
past life.
yeah. So basically, it was in America in the South in the early 1900s. This is recorded. It was recorded that there was a there was a story about these two rival bakers in this small town, and one baker was pissed because they thought that the other baker was stealing customers. So she was like, "Okay, well, what should I do?" So she turned to an old neighbor who was essentially a witch, and she was known for her like cooling work, which is like the freezer spells. So according to the story, the neighbor wrote down the rival's business name on a small scrap of paper, placed it in the jar, filled it with water, and then put ashes from a hearth. And you always want to tie it to something, so I actually spit in mine because it had to do with me. But you always want to tie it to something. So they took ashes from the hearth of the neighboring baker because that's what they used to bake, right? They didn't have electricity, and set it overnight to freeze. And the intention, again, the intention is not to harm, it's just symbolic to freeze her success. So, legend has it that the rival's bakery had a noticeable slowdown in customers for many, many weeks. The townspeople later whispered that the cold jar was to blame. They were like, oh my God, like there is a witch, this lady's a witch. And then eventually the jar had thawed out in the spring because remember, they don't have actual freezers. They just put it outside to freeze. And when it actually thawed out, legend has it that business went back to normal. So this is like widely documented, and who knows the legitimacy of it. But I think, like you said, and like I said, it goes back to your energy, your intention. So that's what I'm trying to harness and think of when I'm starting like my money bowl, when I'm doing my freezer spells, and who knows the next step. But like, it's all about thinking about, other people. Like if you're sitting here and you close your eyes and like, let's say, I don't know, think of a random person. You think about what they smell like, what they look like. Think of them sitting next to you. How are they sitting? What are they saying? Like, how are they holding their hands? What shoes are they wearing? What's the angle of their feet? Are they looking at you? Are they looking forward? Like, actually, like I think if you're
Mhm.
thinking about all those little details, you're literally harnessing their energy, like you're
Yeah.
connecting with them. And that goes back to that, like the idea of our bodies are just little vestibules, right? They're little like carts that are driving around, but our mind is so much bigger. And like my mind and your mind, if we're on the same wavelength, can connect, because it's outside of your body. So I
And
think
this goes
that's what
back to
magic
like,
is about.
yeah, I think that is what magic is. And it's like, goes back to the autism telepathy. It goes
Mm-hmm.
back to like
Dolphins.
so many different things. I will say it is hard to like, there are some things that are like witchy and weird that are really hard to explain as
For
coincidences. So
sure.
like there's like, and it's really hard to tie back to like yourself. Like, okay, I want to be a singer. I will make myself a singer. I want somebody's business to go down. I can't make that happen unless I'm out and about, like being like, there's rats in their kitchen. She never washes her hair. She picks her nose and puts it in her bread. Like, there's no way of doing that. There's no way of proving that. The only thing that I had thought of, because I bartend in a seasonal town, is that in the winter we get really slow, in the summer we're really busy. But it depends
That's a
on
good
the
point.
whole climate of this town and everything. But I will say, if you're going to do witchcraft, these are things I condone, especially the freezing. It's like, that's a way, like, that's such an adult way to just get somebody out of your life. Like, you
Yeah.
don't have to ruin their life. You don't have to stalk them on Instagram and, like, try to find dirt on them. It's just like, hey, I want you to leave me alone. Like, I don't want to see you. I don't want to be around you. Please, like, you're blocked. Please ghost me.
Yeah,
And I
no
feel like that's
harm, just
such, yeah,
pros.
no
And that's the
harm.
same with the money. Like you're not doing anything illegal, you're not dealing drugs, you're not robbing anything. But I'm trying to think how much extra money. It was at least a couple $100 I got this week unexpectedly, and I attribute it to my money bowl.
They said, you know what? Happy Black Friday.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just an interesting way to think about it because I've never thought about quote unquote witchcraft that way.
Hmm.
But when I started doing research and starting with these two very basic things, the money bowl and the freezing, it all
Mhm.
goes back to your energy and your thoughts connecting to other people.
Yeah, I agree. There's there's a fine line, and the brain is doing more things than we know.
That's very true.
Hmm. And one day we'll be these little brown aliens communicating without a word.
Slimy aliens with red eyes and horns.
Honestly, we're getting there. We want the glowy skin. Make me slimy.
I was actually admiring you have glowy skin right now.
Thank you. I've been working
Mhm.
on it.
Good.
It's also unwashed sweat from hours of yard work.
Well, it looks glowy.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I remember like when we were little, glowy is greasy, and then now
It was
like
bad.
how trends just like are in everything. Like the slick back. Like now it's like slick black and glowy. And if we were slick black, we were slick black and glowy in middle school. And it wasn't cool. It was
We
nerdy.
really were. We were sleep fucking
We
glowy.
were. And I'm like, oh, the big puffs. I can't do the puff, it falls out halfway through class. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. It's
I
crazy.
know. I actually had that. Sorry, it's
It's
midnight.
okay.
I actually had that millennial thought because I still have a little tiny thing of bare minerals. Like the powder that. Remember, I was big into that in like I
Hmm.
think it was college.
We
But I
had
don't.
one in the mall, and I think you got me into it.
Yes. Oh my
Hmm.
god, everywhere. And I'm not saying it looks bad. Like I normally like I'll dab my finger in it now and I'll just use it like here and there. I used to
Hmm.
coat my skin in it, but it's funny because I see it all the time when I open up my thing, like my drawer, and I'm like, man, how times have changed. Like this used to be my favorite product and now we're going for glowy skin. Like that gives you complete matte skin.
Yeah, no, it truly does. And I even remember like first buying makeup and looking for like matte. I want matte, and like having the girls with
Always.
like matte skin, and I'm like, no, I don't want that. Yeah,
Things have changed.
crazy. Times have changed, and they're gonna change again. So keep it in there as long
Oh,
as it's
I was
not
gonna say, I
expired.
keep really there.
Keep it in there. It's gonna come back around.
For
Just
sure.
crazy. I know. Finally just started. I will let you go soon. I know you have to, but I started like spending money on like curated, but like a smaller closet, but that's curated. And even if it's trendy, I don't feel, I guess, as bad spending money on it, because I'm like, okay, I gotta just pull one out of Kim K's book and store it away and have an archive closet. And then when something becomes trendy, I'm like, wait, I do have
I
that fur
have.
jacket. Yeah, like I remember when that was out of style for 7 years. Now I have a vintage fur jacket that
For
is
sure.
like, yeah. So that's my go abouts.
No, I agree. I agree.
Speaking of, you gonna be spending that extra money on Black Friday shopping?
I don't know. I mean, I kind of feel like I should track, like physically track it and see how much extra my money bowl can get me.
You
Because I
should.
do a spreadsheet, so I should just make another tab for my money bowl,
I
right?
know.
I don't
This
know.
makes me feel like I need to do some witchcraft, but I also
Yes.
need to just sit down and do some like journaling and just like getting my brain
Mhm.
in order. Cause
Yes.
I'm
And
always running around with my head chopped up. I'm like, oh, let's get some plants. Oh, let's go for a run. Oh, we should go shopping. Oh, I want some chocolate. Let's bake a pie.
yeah, maybe you should people start their day with journaling, and I just can't do that because I don't know, I'm working on it. But
Hmm.
even if you take 5 minutes and journal, there's been so many times where I'm like, I wish that I had journaled during this time because it would have given me a better insight. And I feel like if you
Hmm.
start journaling and you're recognizing like your intentions, your intuitions, and what's going on, that could help you be a better witch because you need to be aware of those things in order to
Right.
harness energy and connect with other people, you know?
Well, I do write songs every day. So I feel like
Well, there you go.
that's almost like journaling, but I am slightly making up toxic stories. But like I'm like, okay, how am I feeling? What do I want to write? And then I'm like, toxic. And I'm like, no, no. So I guess I do also write like not toxic songs, but toxic's really entertaining, in my opinion. But yeah, no, I unfortunately am a snoozer of my alarms, and
Me too.
I don't get out of bed. Like I will fool myself. I'll try to fool myself. I'll be like, okay, I have to leave at 8:30, so I have to wake up at 8, and I'm like, wait, but I'll set an alarm for 7:30, so I have like extra time. And then I'll wake up at 7:30, and then I'll go through like a quick like thought process and be like, wait, why am I awake? I don't have to be awake till 8. And then I'll set another alarm, put my phone down, and get back into bed. And I do this every single morning. But I guess if I start fooling myself into being like, okay, you need to just do 5 minutes of journaling, I
Just
think I
five
can do
minutes.
that. Yeah.
I think that's what I need to do too.
Yeah. Just like, I guess I have to, maybe I'll think of some journal prompts and I'll put them down in our um,
Ooh.
thing. Cause I think if I have like 3 journal prompts, it's like, what would I like to, I think for me, it's more like business. I want to know what I want to accomplish today, what I want to accomplish this year, and what I want to accomplish in the next 5 years. Do I
Okay.
write that down? Do I do that every day?
You can. Because maybe
Maybe.
it
And it
changes.
changes. It changes. Yeah.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I don't know. I guess that's where I struggle with prompts. Like I sit down and I'm like, well, what am I going to write about?
Yeah. I do know in my psychology classes I've taken, they call it like you sit down and you free write, and you're supposed to just start writing like anything that comes to mind and be like, hi, my name's Olivia, and somebody told me to start writing, and now I'm just writing to see what comes out of my mind. There's a lot of hair on my clothes because I have a cat and 2 dogs, and there's always hair on my clothes. I wish I didn't always have hair. And you're supposed to do that for like
Like brain dumping.
you just brain dump as long as you can, and then sometimes that like brings like it just slowly gets into like whatever you're subconsciously thinking about.
Well, I think I could see that because oftentimes when I start talking to you guys or talking to like my friends about something, I don't know, when we get like whether it's normally like a topic, but then the more I think about it and the more my brain is locking in and I'm verbalizing it, then I'm like I'm like, oh my gosh, this made like so many times we're like the aha moments, like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this connection. But it's only because I'm verbalizing it, or I guess in this case, writing it.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Will we actually
We have
journal
homework.
before we see each other? Who
We
knows?
have to.
We will think about it. I was cleaning out stuff and I found my little manifestation note. So I'm like, okay,
Okay.
we're starting things.
Me too. My
Mhm.
manifestation, I was just thinking about it. I know exactly where it is. Oh, I should add that. Maybe I've been thinking about this is the last thing I'll say for my witchy things.
Mhm.
So you can't see this really, but this is my table and this is where my fire
It
is.
looks like a bowl
So
of guacamole from here. And I'm like, I'm jealous. I wish.
like, look. I
Uh-huh.
was thinking about making, because I have a bunch of cute little trays. Maybe making like a little, I have to do research about it, but like a little witch tray and everything on it is representative. Like right now I have like a candle and I keep my money bowl on there, but maybe it can go, I don't know, in the light and get charged. I don't know. I'll come back with it and see if there's
I
like a
like
little,
that.
what is that called? Like not an altar, not a sigil,
Sort of like an altar, but
kind of
not really.
like a
Like,
positive one,
yeah, like a positive altar. I
like an
actually
energy.
recently, speaking of, I got a cowbell and I put it on my mantle because I heard ringing a bell is supposed to reset your energy. So
Okay.
maybe I should end it with that.
Yeah, you should
So,
ring the bell and then
but
we'll say
I'll show you guys. Okay, I decorated my trailer. This is what my mantle looks like for Christmas. But that's the bell right there, and it has like such a deep tone. It's supposed to be good.
Ooh,
And it's supposed
I
to
like
clear all
that.
bad energy and reset the energy. So you need a bell on yours as well.
Okay, I could do that. I think I have a bell somewhere. I have some goat
You
bells in
you for sure have a bell.
my phone somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that ends it for us. It's like the middle of the night near you.
Yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
past midnight.
Well, thank you guys for watching. If you like this, please give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe. If you have any stories, any info, or anything you want to share with us,
Or if you're a
email
witch.
us. Or if you're a witch, please share with us. Let us into your knowledge at 17scootersclub at gmail.com. Find us on TikTok, Instagram. We're not on Facebook. We'll try one day. We're very Gen Z in that way. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time. Goodbye. Scoot,
Bye.
scoot. Bye, Kate. Two wheels are better than four. From the mountains to the shore, find us rolling up to the pub. We're 17 Scooters Club.